If you're ever going to take your rig off-road, one thing that you need to make sure that you have is a good solid recovery kit. Whether you buy a complete kit that's all built out, ready to go, or you piece it together with your own parts, it's imperative that you've got one when you're on the trail. Always got to make sure that you can get back off the trail, right? Stick around, I'll show you what I like to run. If you haven't done it yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. That way you can keep up on everything that we've got coming up. All right, let's get into this. Very first thing that you want to make sure that you have before you start doing any recoveries is a good set of gloves. Preferably some not covered in mud and dirt from the last time that you used them. Okay, next up, we're going to get on our winch. Is a winch necessary? No. Is a winch beneficial? Absolutely. So many different circumstances that you can utilize a winch, whether it's getting yourself out of a stuck or getting somebody else out of a stuck. They're really helpful, but they are more expensive. So it's not necessarily something that ends up on everybody's rig. When it comes to winches, there's a handful of different factors you have to look at. A couple of those are going to be, what do you want to spend? I mean, budget is definitely huge for all this kind of stuff. You can get a low-end winch that's going to do just fine pulling vehicles on and off of a car trailer, or you can spend a ton of money and get one of those racing winches that's dual motor that just rip as they go through. It depends on what you're going to use it for. If you're going to use it a whole lot with a bunch of different friends, you're probably going to want to spend a little bit more money to get a little bit higher quality winch that's going to last. If you're just going to use it every great now and then, if you just want something to fill that hole in your bumper, you can get a cheaper winch. So just make sure you decide what you're looking to use. Next up is going to be sizing of the winch. On mine, I've got a Come Up 9.5 Solo. Basically, it's a 9,500 pound winch made by the company Come Up. They're fantastic winches. I've been working with Come Up for a few years now. I really like them. I wouldn't run a 16,000 pound winch on this thing because all it's going to do is, if I'm pulling something that's 16,000 pounds, it's just going to pull my frame apart. So it's unnecessary, just no use for it. So you want to make sure that you size your winch to your vehicle and make sure you're also sizing the jobs that you're winching to your vehicle so you don't tear your vehicle apart. Other thing on your winch that you want to look at is the kind of rope that it either comes with or that you're going to put on it. Winches forever have come with steel cable and it works great, holds up real well, but some people are starting to get more and more leery of it just because of the forces that it has if it breaks. This is synthetic rope. I really like synthetic rope. If you don't have metal in the winch line there, it actually, when it snaps, if it snaps, it's going to drop, or it may come back a little bit, but it's not going to come back like a steel cable. Steel cable, you can almost think of it like a rubber band. Stretch a rubber band between two fingers, have somebody cut it, and that thing's gone. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to the rope that's going onto your winch so that you're happy with the product. After you figure out what type of rope you want to use, then you have to look at what type of fairlead goes with that rope. So this right here is a Haas aluminum fairlead. It's a Haas fairlead. It doesn't have rollers, so it's basically just radiused on the edges. The synthetic rope slides over it. Nothing catches it. It's not going to burr or tear that rope or anything. So this is the type that I like to use for synthetic rope. You can also get them in steel, and they work just fine as well. With steel cable, you don't want to use an aluminum fairlead because that steel cable is just going to groove this. It's just going to cut into it real bad. Thing's going to be useless in a matter of minutes. My fairlead that I like is from Yankum. Absolutely love this thing. With synthetic rope, one thing that you have to be careful of is that if it's exposed to the sunlight, it's actually going to degrade the synthetic rope itself. So it'll break it down, wear it out. It may break on you while you're actually using it. And if you remember, any metal that's in your winch system, in your winch line, if there's metal in there and that winch line breaks, that thing becomes a projectile. That thing's going to carry weight. It can come flying back. So I try to remove as much metal from my winching system as possible. With this setup, you actually take your synthetic rope from whatever manufacturer you have. You take out the little thimble that's in here. Take that out. They show you how to rebraid the line. So you rebraid it so you've just got that rope loop on there. Now you've gotten rid of that little metal thimble, so you've got less metal in there. Then the cool thing is, it just loops back onto the fairlead itself. You run in your winch, it snugs it down, and you've got just that tiny little bit that's exposed. So it's not much at all. Really saves it, holds it in nice and tight. It's kind of all-encompassing. Next up, we're going to talk about ropes. Yes, I said ropes. There's a bunch of different kinds out there. There's also a ton more manufacturers out there. Find a manufacturer that you like to work with and go with it. All my ropes, they're all from Sandy Cats, which does Kinetic X. Oleg, good dude. I've worked with him for a couple of years and I really like his products. First rope I'm going to show you, not that one, is going to be this one. So this right here is a static rope. This rope is made for pulling somebody down the trail, giving a quick little tug. You can use these things as tree savers. You can use them around a rock for using the rock for an anchor if you need a winch off of something. These things are fantastic, multi-purpose, do really well, and they don't break down that easily. You can see it's got this, here's the regular rope, and then it's got this chafe strap that goes all the way along it. So again, if I wrap that around a tree, it's not gonna hurt the rope, it's not gonna hurt the tree, it's not gonna hurt a rock. It just makes the thing last as long as possible. So that is a great rope, good place to start. Next up is one that you guys have probably all heard about. This is gonna be your kinetic rope. Kinetic rope, a lot of people liken it to a rubber band. I wouldn't go quite that far, but it is made with fibers, and it is woven specifically so that it'll stretch and then it'll come back together. So it is kind of like a rubber band, just not to that extent. So if you've got somebody that's stuck pretty well, you can get a little bit of lead in there, and that helps to pull. It gives that little extra kinetic energy to help yank them out. One feature I really like about my Kinetic X rope is it's actually got some reflective material in there. If you guys can see, it kind of looks white on the camera maybe, but that's just really cool. If you're yanking somebody across a trail and then somebody else is coming down a trail at nighttime, they've got their headlights on, they can actually see that there's something crossing the trail. So hopefully they're not going to clothesline themselves. Now you might be wondering, but Brendan, how am I going to connect my lines together, or how am I going to connect them to my vehicle? Let me show you. So to connect two ropes to a vehicle, you're going to use some kind of shackle. If I've got my kinetic line run out, but I won't quite reach the vehicle I'm trying to recover, I can use one of my static ropes just to give me that little bit of extra distance, but then I need to connect them together. So I'm going to use a shackle. Now, do I want to use a metal shackle? Me personally, I don't. If those lines were to break, that thing's still going to be connected to those. That's now a projectile. It could come flying back to me, could go flying towards the vehicle I'm trying to recover. I don't want that to happen to either of us. So for me, I don't like using metal shackles. Like I mentioned, I don't like using metal in my recovery gear at all, if possible. Sometimes you can't avoid it, but if I can avoid it, I will. Now, the one place I do like using a bow shackle is directly to my vehicle. So on my Jeep, I've got recovery points on the rear as well as on the front. If you look, I can't really get any rope through that hole that's there, but I can get a bow shackle. So I hook my shackle to my Jeep, and now I've got a place I can get my rope to, whether it's connecting my rope directly to that or using a soft shackle. Now I've got some options. The next shackle that we're going to take a look at is a soft shackle. Soft shackles, they call them that because they are. There's no metal in here, so they're nice and soft. Basically, it's made out of something similar to the synthetic winch line. It's just a different material, and it's woven just a little bit differently. But it works just like that. You can see it's got this loop on the end. You feed the knot through, pull it down tight, and now you've got a way to hold two different ropes, vehicles, whatever, together, utilizing one of those guys, and you didn't add any metal into the system. Nice thing about these soft shackles is they've actually got, so you can see, this is the actual soft shackle. That right there is just another chafe guard that's on there. So it's going to help that thing to last as long as possible, keep it from wearing as much as possible. Now for the last shackle that I carry in my kit. It's this one, and you might say, but that looks like a soft shackle, and it kind of is. But if you notice, it's much heavier in this area here. It's heavier material, but this is also a wear resistance material. So what this one is intended for is for recoveries on anything that might not have a recovery point. If you're ripping down some 2-lane dirt road somewhere and all of a sudden you see a tail light sticking up out of the ditch, somebody just lawn darted their car into the ditch and that's the only place that they have access to, you got to try and find a recovery point. If they don't have a recovery point, but they've got a hitch receiver, this thing can actually come in real handy. So you take it, and as long as the backside of the receiver is open, you can feed that through, bring it back around, and just hook it up like the other soft shackle. Now we've got a recovery point. If they don't have a hitch, the nice thing with this is you can still wrap it around an axle housing, you can wrap it around a frame rail. Gives you multiple ways to come up with a recovery point that you can then hook up to and help somebody out that might need it. That's just a quick intro on recovery kits. If you've already got one, let me know what companies you like to work with. Any cool pieces of kit that you really like in there. I always like adding to mine. If you don't have a kit, make sure you get started building one, because if you're out there, you got to figure out how to get back home. Make sure to like the video, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.